is top of the hour, and we'd like to get
Do
started
it.
as often as possible on time because we want to respect everyone's time, and we certainly want to be sure that we hear everything that Jonathan has to share with us. So I will officially start this meeting with a good morning. I'm glad everyone is here, and welcome to the City Club Los Angeles Breakfast Club. We are an organization and we are a team who have a mission and vision of educating those people who are not only City Club members, but also the friends of City Club members. The whole idea for us is to network and learn together, and that is certainly what we are here to do. So with that, we will move forward. We have a team of people who are responsible for what it is that we do. It's a committee, it's a team, it's a group of people. We have fun getting together and talking about what kind of programs can we bring that will be educational and exciting and interesting to our fellow committee members and to the City Club as a whole. And now that we are virtual, then we're talking about people across the country. So that team is made up of certainly Mr. Mitch Woolley, who takes care of everything electronic and digital. Denise, who unfortunately is not here this morning, and she's has some challenges, so I kind of get that. And who else do we have? Well, we've got Denise Anthony, Margaret Brown, and Gary Martinez, and myself, Vernon Webb. We are the people who put these together. The Breakfast Club has been very successful, I'd like to note, over the last year, being able to consistently bring programs that have been both challenging and informative. So again, we thank you all for being here. And I will turn it over to Mr. Mitch Woolley.
Good morning, my friends and neighbors. So we got a great program today for you. With more than 20 years of experience as a trainer, Jonathan's philosophy is to engage clients in the learning process and leverage their experience and strengths while inspiring sustainment for improved personal and professional breakthroughs. He's certified as a trainer in the areas of human relations, sales, conflict management, leadership, presentation skills, process improvement, communication change management, and online delivery. Throughout his career, Jonathan has notable experience in leading training for the U.S. Navy, Southern California Edison, Kaiser Permanente, and the Los Angeles Police Federal Credit Union. As a director of strategic partnerships, he enjoys partnering with organizations of all sizes, working with leadership to evaluate strengths and opportunities for improvement, creating a recipe for success, and then training and coaching individuals and teams through the transformation process as they achieve and often exceed their goals. Jonathan is passionate about Dale Carnegie training because it aligns with his goal in life to help others recognize their untapped potential and then achieve the unachievable. Ladies and gentlemen, presenting how to cold call and build new customers and become a cold calling ninja. Here he is, Jonathan Wisniewski.
Well, thank you very much for that very nice introduction, Mitch. I truly appreciate it. And of course, thank you all for being here this morning as well. Thomas Edison once said that our greatest weakness lies in giving up. The most certain way to succeed is always to try just one more time. And that's actually a saying that I live by. That is something that each one of us, as we focus in on sales, as we focus in on cold calling, have to remind ourselves of, that we need to continue on. Don't give up. Try, even if it's just one more time. Because that one more time is going to turn into multiple more times as we lather, rinse, and repeat this process. So again, my name's Jonathan Wisniewski, and the way that I introduced myself, it was with the technique for all phone calls or in-person visits. which of course we can finally do again. That's kind of nice. So how many of us have heard a voicemail or even been introduced with someone and not understood what the person's name was? What do we think? Sometimes it goes, hey, this is Jonathan Wisniewski, and I'm with Dale Carnegie, and and they just don't pronounce their name properly. In fact, sometimes we have left voicemails like that, which is kind of crazy. So what we do at Dale Carnegie is we teach a process called pause, part, punch. And it just goes like this. Hi, my name is pause. And of course, that for the ears of the listener goes, tell me more. I want more, right? And we throw in Jonathan, and then we part our first name and our last name. And then we really punch that last name, Wisniewski. Exactly how we want it to be said as well. Just goes like, hi, my name is Jonathan Wisniewski. And that's it, a simple process, but it's one that creates a memory in those who are either picking up the phone, those that we are being introduced to the first time, whatever that winds up being. So let's look at our objectives today. And these are the 3 objectives that we intend to focus in on over the next 45 minutes or so. As we're looking at these 3, how can these 3 help us to achieve our vision when it comes to sales? What do we think? Feel free to come off mute.
So the be poised and confident when cold calling really calls to me. I like those 2. Well, the word poised. So what does that mean for you?
Yeah. And poised for me is just to have that demeanor of professionalism where we're ready, nothing will faze us. And we're focused in not just about the voice that's inside of our own head, that voice of self-doubt, the worry, the what's in it for me. We're able to not only be thinking about what our potential customers' concerns are, but also be projecting that as well with confidence. Does that help? Yeah, Mitch.
Yeah, I have when I get on the phone, and I don't do that much cold calling, but when I do, before I do the call, I have my end goal in mind, which is if I get a voicemail, I'm going to get a call back. That's my goal, to get a call back. And I typically will rehearse what I'm going to say. I'll think about what I want to say. And again, what's in it for them. And I try to think up. So if I'm following up, I don't want to say, I'm just following up, because everybody does that. I want to do something that's very different and say, hey, I ran across an article the other day and I thought it would be really, really interesting. Could you give me a call back and I can throw it at you a little bit? I've actually text people and they say, can you just text me? And I'm like, no, let's get on the phone. I've never closed a deal over text or email.
Right. Yeah. And that value add, as we look at like the pace and cadence of following up with any contact, especially as a cold call, we should have that 7, 8, 9 touch points laid out with value adds that we're putting in every single time for sure. All right. So we'll go through these. Ultimately, if we don't have a vision as a salesperson, we need to work on that. And a vision is just something that we can put out there. It's 6 months from now, I am using present tense language, using positive language, putting emotion into it. And what does that look like? And maybe it's 3 months from now, and maybe it's 2 years from now. Each of these things, each of these tools that we go through today will help us to achieve whatever that vision is. And again, if we haven't created it yet, let's make sure that we do that. Let's go ahead and write that vision down, even say it out loud, speak with our business partners, and address it with each other. Once we've thrown it out into the universe, there's a greater chance of us actually achieving that than just maybe thinking of it or not having a vision at all. When we aim at nothing, we hit it every single time. So looking at this, sometimes we have to move outside of our comfort zones in order to achieve our vision, in order to get the objectives that we were looking at in the previous slide. What are some things that we do, some business related activities that are outside of our comfort zones?
Cold calling would be one.
Right, cold calling.
Yeah. Why is that? Like, what's so challenging about cold calling? Why is it uncomfortable for us?
The fear
Nobody
of
likes to hear
rejection.
no.
I like to talk to people I know.
It's easier.
We have a biological need to be liked.
Yes, that 100% true. In fact, when we are liked and those positive relationships are happening, right, our body reacts in that way, and our endorphins are start flowing through us, and our energy goes up. So when we do have that rejection, definitely, it's uncomfortable. Yeah. What else besides cold calling?
Asking for the sale.
Yeah. Tell us more, Vernon.
Again, we're hovering above that that fear of rejection. Well, what if I say, well, look, let's do business together. This is what I can do for you. And then they say no, then you've got to have some kind of a comeback, because you've got to ask more than once. It takes several times. The follow-up is another that probably need to work on to become better at. But yeah, asking for the sale and then following up.
In the Dale Carnegie Winning with Relationships Selling course, we go through a process, and we would be surprised, maybe not, at how many people, when we say, okay, do the soft close, which is simple, how does that sound? Can be the soft close, right? And when we do that soft close, eyes open up, brains pop, and they're like, really? That's it? It's like, all we have to do is ask. Otherwise, we build the relationship, we provide, what's in it for them. And then if we never ask for the sale, our closing rates are not going to be very good. So yeah, it's interesting that we bring that up. And the more, yes.
Is that, I used to call it, I call it a trial close. It's just the same thing, right?
Same thing. Yeah, it's the exact same thing.
I'm just kind of testing the water. How's that sound? It's like, oh, don't throw anything at me.
Yep. And
Don't
we can
say
do
no.
and we can do these trial closes throughout the whole process, or soft closes, as I call them. Same thing. It's the exact same.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
Could you give an example of that, Jonathan?
Yeah. So, at Dale Carnegie, we've been offering this sales training for years, and the result of that has been that organizations that partner with us have seen an overall increase in their bottom line by at least 25%. In some cases, in fact, just recently, we saw it as high as 50%. How does that sound to you? Could just be something like, what would those results be in your situation? What would it look like if we were to see similar results in your situation?
That's
any of those
powerful.
types of things. Yeah.
Very powerful. Holy cow.
And they just all of a sudden they go, and now they're thinking about, okay, what can I get as an individual? What can I get as an organization out of this conversation, this relationship with Jonathan, with Dan, with Mitch, with Vernon, right? In all of these situations. So, and then eventually, we continue on, and it lets us know, because we might ask that question. we might ask that question, and the response is, yeah, not really interested. Okay, good. I want to know that up front. I want to do these trial or soft closes throughout the process, so that if we get to the point where I finished my spiel and I'm thinking, hey, we're on track, I lost them, back at the first freeway exit sign. And I was trying to travel from, Simi Valley, where I live, to City Club in downtown LA. I left them at Yosemite, which is an exit at Simi Valley.
Wouldn't this be, I think a lot of people might look at, sales training for one, as an expense, and it's so far There's nothing farther from that. I mean, it is not an expense. It's actually an investment. Why? Because I have investments that pay dividends and that pay a
Yes.
return. So if we can increase the sales by 20% of the close rate by 25% and over on a recurring basis, isn't that an investment?
Yep.
Right?
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
When they say they're not
And that's
interested is because they might not have a budget.
right. Yeah, some people aren't able to invest. I mean, I invest, I have things in the stock market, I have mutual, so on and so forth. That's not everybody. Some people are living day to day. And so when we do use that word investment, yeah, don't ever say it's going to cost. The expense is that language, just from a sales standpoint, has to be removed from our vocabulary. It's always the investment. Is there an investment strategy that we can work on? What does the budget provide for so that we can put together an investment strategy that works for us, works for you, right? It's always that investment. Yeah, money out must bring money in by John Limbacher. Thank you, Gregory. That's the same as Rich Dad, Poor Dad, right?
Oh, love Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Yeah. And that's just let our money work for itself. And that's what investments do. So when people invest with your organization, with Coach Dan, with Dale Carnegie, then they're getting an ROI, and it's not just a cost. So yeah, thank you for that. And ultimately, as we move outside of our comfort zones, and as we ask these right questions, as we build these relationships, we find out that we can provide, in most situations, even if it's just a sample of our product or ourselves or our abilities to our customers, we can provide something for them. And it's something that they're going to want. There was a friend of mine who used to always say, people don't want to be sold, but they do want to buy. And that's on us as individuals. That's on us as salespeople or as trainers or as organizations. We have to offer results that return on the investment that benefit them. It's not about our product. I sell Dale Carnegie training. Do I? Or do I sell methodologies that include tools and processes that change people's lives for the better? I don't sell Dale Carnegie training. It always has to be what's in it for them. People don't want what we sell. They want the result of what we sell. Again, people don't want what we sell. They want the result of what we sell. And the awesome thing is that Dale Carnegie, who's dead, but Dale Carnegie, who was in this industry, who trained leaders from 1912 to 1955, a few years back, he knew this. And he put together some phenomenal training because he understood that people don't want what we sell. They want the result of what we sell. You know, for this reason, Dale Carnegie actually provides us with a number of principles from his award-winning book called How to Win Friends and Influence People. And principle number 8 of his human relations principles is talk in terms of the other person's interest. Now, we've already discussed why that's important. So ultimately, our potential customers are dealing with one of these 3 things: balancing time, quality, and cost. So let's do it. Let's do an exercise. Think about a customer that you intend to reach out to, a prospect that you intend to reach out to. And like, this is someone that we're reaching out to today or tomorrow, not someone that we have this dream of reaching out to in the future. And as we think about that customer, what are they dealing with in regards to time, quality, and cost? If we don't know, we need to be doing research, by the way. So what do we think? Who has an example? So I'll
Can
go
you
back to
rephrase
my
that
Blue
question again?
Apron. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Can you rephrase that again?
Yeah, so I'll just give an example of what I'm looking for. We'll go back to that Blue Apron example. Blue Apron, who is truly like diving in 100% with partnering with Dale Carnegie Training for their teams. When it comes to time, quality, and cost, they have quality down. That's their focus. Now, the problem that they're struggling with is finding that balance with time, because in order to maintain that quality at a high level, time is sometimes sacrificed. And when time gets sacrificed, then cost gets stretched out. So impactful training for them is, how do we hit this time issue and the time management issue? No worries, Dan. How do we resolve that so that they can rebalance their time, quality, and cost? And I know that just because I've spent time with their organization and I know the struggles that they're going through. So as we imagine our next prospect, what are they struggling with? What is their time, quality, cost ratio?
Good question.
Again, if people are interested in the result of what we sell, then we need to make sure that we're not just selling our product. We need to be selling them positive results. Has to happen. And if we don't know these things, that's fine for right now. Moving forward, let's do some more research. In fact, we shouldn't just be researching these types of things. We should also be researching everything on this slide. You know, what is the key information about the industry, the company, the people? What are the specific issues? That comes back to the time, quality, cost. What evidence do we have that we've provided results for those issues with other organizations? If we can get testimonials, perfect. Sometimes it's a little bit more challenging. And then, of course, just going through and saying, look, if these are the objectives that we're going to work towards together, right, then how are we going to do that in a systematic, time-sensitive way? Because ultimately, everybody's dealing with time as part of one of their challenges. Especially nowadays, you know, we look at everyone who's working from home. Guess what? They're spending way more time working. They have way more things that they're doing because there's others on their team that are not providing the same output levels that they used to. And so those people that we're trying to connect with, the drivers, the ones that are the decision makers, the ones that will not drop the ball, or at least will try as hard as possible to not drop the ball, their workload is just doubled. And so how do we focus in on that in a time-sensitive way, concisely, setting out an agenda, putting together a process that shows them the result for them of what we offer?
I personally like this pre-approach because regardless of, I don't cold call. Let's be honest. I absolutely do not cold call. A lot of that has to do with the industry that I'm in and who my perfect client actually is. However, what I will say is any and every inquiry, I go through similar steps as this before I ever pick up the phone to talk to them or set up an appointment with them. And that's on purpose, you know, so that I have a lot more information. And I like the soft sell idea because for me, I ask the key questions based on similar pre-approach and let it all be their idea. You know, as long as it's their idea, it's an easy close, you know, regardless of what I charge. they're no longer shopping at that point. And
Right.
so I think that these are so strong. I mean, I just had something like this through LinkedIn where I had an inquiry, and it was a life coach that was inquiring through LinkedIn. He turned around and said, you know, I don't see anything on your website that has anything to do with my industry. Do you help people like me? Which is, he simply did not look at my website.
Right.
He looked at my LinkedIn page, not my website. And so, you know, in that approach, though this was all text, which I don't have a problem with in most cases, I sent a bunch of information and related to a recent review, which happened a couple of weeks ago. Within a couple of weeks, that was from a life coach.
Nice.
You know, and it was perfect. So, you know, I gave examples of the work. I gave evidence of the results from others. You know, so common ground. All of this is just so key. I really like this slide.
Nice. Yeah. And it's interesting when we do provide evidence, and we provide that evidence first. That's, I mean, how do we contradict evidence like that? How do we disagree with evidence? That provides so much value. And evidence, we have a saying that evidence defeats doubt. So evidence can be in the form of demonstrations, examples, like personal examples, like what we just talked about. You know, it can be verifiable facts. It can be, you know, a number of different things. It can be statistics, testimonials. You know, we can use analogies as evidence. Those types of things will truly make it so that it fits with them. That's where we can bring it in so that we are on the common ground. And when we're on common ground, then it's two people, right? Instead of here, now it's two people here working together to achieve a common goal. And that's why everyone that winds up partnering with Dale Carnegie, they're partners. They're not my customers. They're not my clients. They're my partners. And that's all I do. I mean, my sales job is I build partnerships off of strong relationships. You know, who wouldn't want a cold call in that situation? Hey, do you want a new relationship that's going to be positive? And do you want a new partnership? Yeah. Okay. Has to start somewhere.
Right.
Yeah. That's great that you do that, Renee.
Well, I think also, like for myself, yesterday I sent out a proposal, and I never had a chance to visit with the client because they're being represented by a PR firm, but the PR firm understands what I do on the advertorial side of things. And so in speaking to them, you know, I asked a bunch of key questions as to give me an idea. Like, you know, I don't know who this company is. I don't know what they are. You know, I don't know their budget. I don't know their sales. I don't know their marketing dollars. I don't have any of this information. So I couldn't give a quote. So in my part of my pre-approach was writing down or sending them a bunch of questions to give me information. So when I did that, and I've never worked with this PR firm, they're out of Florida. When I did that, they came back and said, oh, so you're not a work to hire photographer. So you're not the person that we actually thought you were. So let's give you all this information so you can put together a proper quote for us. Yeah. So they gave me all the information I was asking for, something that probably could have been bid at $1,000, which a lot of photographers would do. I bid at 10 grand. And they're like, yeah, this is well within our budget. So, you know, it's one of those, it's a little bit different. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's a little bit of a different scenario as well, because when people reach out to us, then we can have a form, we can have those questionnaires that really work to bring in and to get those answers. When we're doing a cold call, that's not going to fly, because unless we've created value on why someone should partner with us, why they need our product, why they need our skill set, they're not going to spend the time to fill out a questionnaire. Right. So it's a great approach, as long as they're the one reaching out to us, or if it's already a warm lead, then we can go, all right, let's sit down and go through this together. Yeah, Mitch.
We typically try to stay within a couple of industries that we can serve really well. And when I say serve really well, I mean that we can kill it. So
Yeah.
we do take, we take calls for, one-off types of business and stuff like that, because who wants to turn down work? But when we
Right.
actually solicit and we do any LinkedIn ads, or we do any Facebook ads or something, we really, really target it to a specific geographical area and a specific industry type.
Yep.
And the reason we do that is because we have evidence. We have lots and lots
Yes.
of evidence of results. So when the person actually goes, and we'll have a hidden landing page on our website that's not indexed, so it won't
Right.
show up. And when they land on that page, they're going to look at it and go, "Oh my God, that's my industry, and that's the kind of results you get. Holy cow!" Maybe I need to be thinking. And what ends up happening is that people have, their mind is thinking a certain way,
Yep.
and when they see evidence like this, it actually makes them rethink their strategy. So they go, "Oh, so wow, I want that results." And now that they fall in love with the results, they'll figure out a way to pay for it.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
even if they have to go to the boss and say, "Hey, I need more money." "No, I don't have it in the budget." They got what kind of return?
It is.
Oh,
Exactly.
because all the other people are calling saying, "Buy my stuff, buy my stuff, buy my stuff," and they're sick and tired of it. Now they can look at a page. That's an industry that we're in. That's a customer. We know who these guys are, or we've heard of them, or we can look them up, and we're going, "Really? They get that kind of results? Okay."
Yes.
Changes everything.
Oh, totally. And that concept of understanding our silo is fundamental when it comes to sales. So we should all know, like, the organizations that I sell to are a minimum of 50 employees to 250 employees for the easy one-off. Those are like the bread and the butter. And then the organizations that I choose to partner with long term are going to be from the 250 up to the 2,000 employee range. Other things above and beyond that, if they fall in my lap, that's fine. Those are not the organizations I'm going to be searching out, and I'm going to be cold calling. It's going to always be that 50 to the 250, or the 250 to the 2,000. And it has to be specific industries as well. It has to be, whether it's manufacturing, hospitality, finance, whatever that winds up being for us, stick to it so that we can provide those testimonials that are focused in on that industry, so that all of our evidence, all of our stories are focused in on that industry. The salespeople that try to do the one size fits all will not succeed. If you do, it's going to be luck.
I had one more thought on that. So one of the things that we're very cognizant of is, we know what our products and service costs. We know what that is. And
Yes.
so what we're looking for is, we have a very specific type of customer persona that we're looking for.
Yep.
And, the floor on a typical customer we look for, the absolute bottom line floor for somebody that we actually outreach and solicit, is $1 million in revenue. Why?
Yep.
Because we need 1% of their revenue, which is $10,000 to kind of start. That's $800 a month. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the floor. So,
Yep.
and then going forward, so when we solicit, we got to make sure that we're speaking to that kind of customer type, because we don't want to
Yes.
do the dog and pony show and waste all the time. Our sales process is, there's 4 calls and 4 different decks until we ask for their business. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's an education process. And
Definitely.
we don't want to get to all the way to the end to find out that I don't have a budget. And this just happened last week.
Got it. Yeah, that 100%. We need to, and that's why we stick to those silos. Find out what those silos are, find out where we do well in the industry, and then go for it.
Yeah.
Attack it like a poised ninja, as Mitch would say. All right, cool. So one of the things, as we're building out these cold calls, as we're looking for all this pre-approach information, ultimately, what this does is it brings us the ability to put together a power phrase for creating this appointment. So it kind of goes like this. When we've done this well, we can connect the reason for contacting them with the key issue that they're having. And it would sound like this. I'm calling because Dale Carnegie has provided leadership training for organizations like yours. These organizations that have partnered with us have been able to achieve an increased level of performance and team alignment. Okay. Well, then we just do a brief statement on how. And, for me, we've accomplished this by using a unique approach developed specific to their needs to achieve their goals. We ensured that we had the right tools and understood how to apply them while leading both in-person and remote teams. The result was that we exceeded expectations while achieving an average of a 25% increase in their bottom line. And that is just asking for permission to set up an appointment or to actually make an appointment. And we go, when would be a good time for us to get together to discuss how we can provide similar results for you? Or is now an okay time? And then we continue on with that conversation. Yeah, Renee.
This is interesting. The reason I say it's interesting is because I would not consider LinkedIn connections as a warm contact when they've never engaged, when they've literally never engaged with me. As many times as I reach out, they just haven't. Recently, I chose to go, now, personally, I have a new pup, as we mentioned in the very beginning. So I gave myself about 6 weeks off for very light work so I can train her.
Yep.
And so I decided to do very little on LinkedIn or a lot of marketing at all. And so I recently went back on LinkedIn and took a look at everyone who hasn't responded in more than 6 months. And I just did a three sentence, message. And interestingly, I've booked 8 meetups through Zoom, which is interesting because I wouldn't consider, like I said, I wouldn't consider it a cold call, but I definitely wouldn't consider it even a warm lead. But taking some of these steps, I didn't realize I was taking these steps, I guess. I'm an old marketer, so there's some things that I do that I don't realize I do. I just kind of do them. Yep. And this is an interesting process, though. I really like this because it's almost identical to what I did without knowing.
Yeah. And that's the thing is, a lot of these things that we go through, it's not new. What's the saying? There's nothing new under the sun. Right. But just because it's common sense, just because these things work, like, unfortunately, or fortunately for us, it's not common practice.
Right.
So when we do these things, we see these results, like the 8 appointments that came out of those quick messages, 3-sentence messages on LinkedIn.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I was just kind of floored, I guess, because I don't know. It was just something, the pandemic changed a lot of things, obviously, for all of us. And it's just, I haven't handled my own marketing in a while. I used to have someone to do that. And so it's kind of interesting to me. So,
yeah, that's great. So just looking at the time and out of respect of everyone's time, we're just going to touch off as we kind of wrap things up with just a few tools that will really continue to help us, not just to gain the confidence, but to be able to relate to our prospects and to our customers. And one of those is these 9 principles. Again, they're from Dale Carnegie, and they're under the topic of be a friendlier person. In the sales context, they're really about becoming a trusted advisor. Because when we can do these types of things, not criticize, condemn, or complain ourselves, those around us, or our competition, we don't criticize, condemn, or complain. When we provide honest, sincere appreciation, whether it's to the person that we are communicating with, or to someone that's even helped us in the form of a story up to this point, when we get them excited about partnering with us, when we show that we're genuinely interested in other people and we actually put a smile on our face because we enjoy doing it, when we remember their name and then use it, not psychotically. Hey, Vernon, how are you today, Vernon? Hey, Vernon, so I'd love to hear more about your business, Vernon. And Vernon, when can we, come on. And we've heard that situation. I mean, that's trash, right? So do it in a meaningful way. When we're a good listener and we encourage them to talk. In fact, one of the things that I always work towards in my initial cold call, that first touch where I'm communicating with them, is I want them talking 80% of the time. So when we're a good listener and we encourage them to talk about themselves, then they start asking us questions as well. And that's where we can bring in, hey, this is what we can do for you. And then we talk in terms of their interests, because if we've listened, we know what their interests are. If we have been genuinely interested in them, right, and we've been engaged with them, then we can do that. And then we just make them feel important, and we do it not fakely, we do it sincerely. So each of these 9 principles get us to the point where we are those trusted advisors. And if we're not at that stage yet, and we're just in the stage of, hey, let's just get to the point where we can leave a voicemail, let's look at some of the tools that we need for creating a voicemail that's going to leave a callback. Out of these that we see on the screen, which one really stands out for us?
Number 3.
Leave contact information at the beginning and the end, and using the pause part punch. Why is that?
I think that people, if they know it's a telemarketing call, they're going to hang up before your information at the end of the call.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? So you give them an opportunity to write it down right there. And if they don't catch everything, even though we kind of say it slowly, they can catch it at the end.
Yes. So I was giving this workshop a few months back, and one of the participants that saw this on the screen decided, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and try that. They left a voicemail with this, and they actually received a call back on that very first voicemail. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen every time, but this participant then went on and told me that she had left voicemails many times in the past and then not received one callback. And the one time she tried this, it provided that extra callback, and they were able to actually communicate. So again, we're not going to get 100% of the effort or of that result, but it's going to increase. Yeah, go ahead, Mitch.
I have to tell you, you know, because I've heard your talk before, and I use that trusted advisor, and I'm going to tell you it works. I typically, while I'm on the phone with a customer or with a prospect, but I actually left a voicemail last week for a prospect that I've been kind of nurturing. And I said, look, I said, whether you purchase from us or someone else, you know, you need it. We consider ourselves to be your trusted advisor. So even if you want to bounce an idea off of somebody else is trying to sell you something, you want to bounce an idea, call me. I'm available anytime, day or night. You got my mobile number. I want to be your trusted advisor. I don't want to allow you to make the wrong purchase decision. So let me be your trusted advisor.
Yep.
I got a call back.
Yeah.
I got a call back, and we're actually in dialogue now that we almost lost the sale, and that kind of resuscitated the sale. So we'll see how that goes. But all I'm telling you is, if it's just 1 or 2% of the things you can do that can get that person a call back, it's a total win.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so years and years ago, I sold in retail, and it was in the automotive industry. And just like in a store, just grinding it out, 10 to 12 hours a day, getting my hands dirty, doing all of that. And that's a technique that I would use. Look, this is what you need. For me, I prefer that you purchased it from where I'm working. There's a lot of places around where you can get this done. Please just get it done, because we're at a point now where it needs to be done in the near future. Or it might even need to be done right away. Like, if you're not going to do it here, just go down the street. I would recommend this or this as alternatives. And every single time that I've gone down that path, people have bought from me. Because again, it's just it's us focusing with them on that problem that we're helping them solve, And now we're no longer a salesperson. We're that trusted advisor, just like what you said, Mitch. And that's what we need to be able to do. That's what builds relationships. That's us exemplifying, these principles that we walked through. These principles here. That's us living it. And that's what we have to do for our prospects, for our clients, for our partners as we move forward with sales. So one of the things that I think it's important for us, actually, before we talk about this, let's just chat about following up. The follow-up is something that we have to do. And when it comes to either cold calls, when it comes to sales in general, this is a thing that people who are not poised, who are not confident, that are not sales professionals fail to do. Which means when we do this, then we exemplify that we are poised, that we are confident, that we are sales professionals, and we should be following up on a regular basis. And that might be in the form of an email. We leave a voicemail, we drop an email as well. We talk on the phone, we follow up with an email. We send out a LinkedIn message, follow that up with an email, or we send an email, follow it up with a link, whatever it happens to be. We need to increase our touch points. And as we increase our touch points, then we increase our appointments. And as we increase our appointments, then of course we increase our sales. In fact, people that are really good can get past the gatekeeper by, again, building that relationship, and then can move in because we're thinking about them, we're thinking about the organization, we're thinking about the individual that we're selling with. We can move in and we can see an increase in appointments. Look, whether someone is low skill or high skill, they're still doing 4,800 dials. What's the difference? Well, they're still getting 15% meetings or 30% meetings. The difference is getting past the gatekeeper. And when we do that well, when we've built that relationship, then we get to these weekly appointments. And out of weekly appointments, we should all know, we should be tracking how many appointments turn into sales on average. And as far as these touch points, thank you very much, Mitch. As far as these touch points, then we should, my recommendation is 9, between 7 and 9 touch points. That's what I found works. As far as 2 touch points goes, that's barely touching the surface. So make sure that we're doing those touch points, because that, of course, will get us the results that we need, which is appointments, which is sales, and always ask for a referral. We call it AFAR. Ask for a referral every single time. And we don't just wait until the end to ask for a referral. Some people will go, okay, we're going to do this. We're going to partner for training, and then I'm going to ask for a referral. No. At that point in time, that work's already been done. As soon as they're interested and they're engaged in the moment and they're in the buying process, that's when we ask for the referral, because that's when they're in love with us. That's when they're the most motivated to go, yeah, definitely, I'll do this. And what are we going to do? And it's a give and take at that point in time. If we wait until the end, the referral percentage of us actually getting it drops drastically. So ask for that referral up front. All right. It's 8:50, and we have gone through a number of things. So expanding our comfort zones, looking at what buyers want, strengthening relationships, the pre-approach, the appointment power phrase, voicemails, looking at numbers and asking for a referral. In the chat, let's just type in what our greatest takeaway is from everything that we've gone through. And as we do that, I'm just going to post my information on the screen as well. Please feel free to reach out at any point in time. Would love to hear from you. Would love to get feedback. And of course, asking for a referral. If you would be willing to give a referral, then that would be absolutely great. I'd love to get somebody's name, an organization that would also benefit from similar training like this. And of course, If you're interested in taking Dale Carnegie courses, please reach out to me and I'll make sure that you get 10% off on your next Dale Carnegie course. Quick quote from Dale Carnegie. He says this: "We can conquer almost any fear if we only make up our mind to do so." Fear only exists in our mind. It does not exist anywhere except in our mind. Thank you very much. It's been an honor and privilege, and I'll hand it back over to Vernon.
Thank you very much, Jonathan. You know, you share some concepts that really caught my attention. And the one thing that probably kept going over and over and over was about partnerships. I never thought about creating a partnership with someone that I wanted to sell something to. And yet that mindset changes everything. It's certainly going to change it for them, and it's going to change it for me. So I really, really appreciate that a lot, Jonathan. I don't know if anyone else has any comments. I'll give them a quick second to, share their thoughts on today's presentation, but I really want to thank you for coming in and talking to us. And of course, there's a referral for you. We're just like, yeah, okay, we got another one coming up. For those of you that are familiar with the City Club Business Alliance webinar series, we're going to have Jonathan speaking to us again. So be sure to get in touch with us so you can glean some more of the pearls that Jonathan's been dropping. And I really, really appreciate that. Are there any other comments before we move on? Once, twice, everyone is muted. So 3 times. And Mitch?
Looks like
Great.
Catherine.
Always
raised
great,
her hand.
Jonathan. I literally pick up a couple of things every time I hear you speak. I'm like, oh yeah, about that. And I have somebody sitting beside my desk asking me about this pause part punch. So I've got to fill him in on what it is when we get off the call.
Awesome. Cool. Thanks. And Catherine, what were you going to say?
Yeah,
as well?
there was just a comment I wanted to make, is that when you were talking about referrals, whenever I'm looking for a contact or trying to find out about an organization, I do that at the very beginning. I will get in contact with my network, with my group of people, friends that I know that could have information, and I'll always drop their name. And that person doesn't know me from Adam, but they'll call me back because I dropped their name at the very beginning.
Yeah.
And that's always worked for me for years.
Yeah. If we can find that common ground, that person that,
Yeah.
that they know as well,
Mhm.
and then say, yeah, this person recommended I connect with you. I mean,
Right.
that makes our
That's it.
success
It
rate.
opens up the door for you automatically, even though you don't have business now, but you have that contact. And as
Yeah.
you mentioned, you develop that relationship, and that's really important.
Yes.
It's no different than working on your house and getting a contractor and things are not going right, but you got to wait.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah. Thank you for that.
Thank you. It was a great, I really enjoyed your presentation. Thank you.
Oh, thanks. Appreciate it.
So with that, Jonathan, thanks again for taking the time and talking with us. Nothing happens till something is sold. Period. End of story. So we have to be on top of our game when it comes down to selling, and it is all a mindset, which is something I have a very firm belief about. So if we can develop the proper mindset before we pick up the phone to make that call, we know exactly what it is that we need to do and not be thrown off when somebody tells us no. Just means not now, maybe later. But keep on making the calls and developing that tougher skin, which is something that I know that I consistently work on. Just not taking the rejection. It's like, it's okay that they said no. There's going to be somebody out there who is going to say yes. I just haven't found them yet, but I will. But again, thank you very much.